Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Ghost to Ghost PM. Tonight we got some very special guests with us. Of course, everybody knows Drew's Paranormal Vlog, hashtag Drew. We have got Mystic Love and Light down here right underneath me, and underneath Drew we've got October. Hey, girls.
Hello, Drew One. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
So far, so good, to be honest with you, Drew, but the night's still young. I haven't gone to bed yet, or at least tried to.
Oh dear. You're all nice and Scottish tonight, Drew. You look very Scottish tonight. Was that for my privilege?
Well, this thing here came from somewhere here. There's a tag in it. From one of those damn sheep shaggers. Wait, this obviously is not the one with the tag in it. I've got one that actually says it comes from somewhere in the Highlands. Some farm up there that makes them professionally. But, I had to pull my cam out and put it on.
Well, that's
had to at least halfway try to look professional.
Well, it's for me and October tonight, because October is Scottish as well, so we do have two Scottish witches here tonight.
Yeah.
And Mystical Love and Light is obviously American.
I asked October earlier, Mystical, and I asked Drew too, but where are you from?
Actually, I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas, but right now I reside in East Tennessee.
Lovely.
Even better. My two number ones.
So I'm on the same time as you are.
Cool. And here it is, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 14 minutes after midnight over in Scotland.
It sure is, yeah. You're into Saturday now, yeah.
Spent 3 years in Texas, all around Houston, and was born in Tennessee. So.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Ha! So you're the opposite.
Yep.
You swap places.
So, for those of you that couldn't pick it up in the... Oh, wait a second here. By the way, let me see here. We got Meg here. We got Terry here. We got Christine. Howdy. Welcome, everybody.
Hi,
Terry, man, you must be talking about our audio equipment. Made in China? That sounds just about right for the issues we've been having for the last 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
I'm gonna
No
close
matter
my
what
door.
we tried. Echo.
Yep.
Come on, Owen. Come on.
And then a rave, I think.
Oh, my scarf. No, my scarf. This one here. Well, both my scarves. I've got two that are collared like this, and I've got one that's like shades of gray and black and white and everything. All three of my scarves came from Scotland, but only one of them still has a tag in it.
You've got some lovely dress from Scotland, haven't you? I've seen your kilts and things. You've got some beautiful ones.
Oh yeah, I've got my Stuart kilt that I got married in, and I've got my black watch that I wear when I do French and Indian war reenact or 7 years war reenactments. I've got my utility kilt, my black canvas utility kilt that I wear just to piss my wife off because she hates it. So,
They're beautiful. Drew's wife's scared to bring him to Scotland in case he doesn't come home. Is that right?
yeah, she's making me wait until our daughter goes to college because she knows I'll probably not come home. So, yeah, she's making me wait till at least another 6 or 7 years before she brings me to Scotland. So, in case you, hey Rob Random, good to see you.
Hi, Rob and JJ.
In case you guys couldn't tell from the adverts and stuff, hey Josh, gosh. all three of these amazing, beautiful women are witches. What is witchcraft? What is witchcraft today? I've done videos before on witchcraft and druid beliefs and the religion and stuff like that. You guys all know I follow more of a shamanic Native American type of religion. I want to know from each one of you girls, and I don't care who goes first, who goes last. I want to know what got you involved in the religion, whether it was hereditary or it was a taught thing. Um, we'll start off with that.
Who wants to go first, ladies?
It doesn't matter.
You go
You
first
want?
then, Mystical. You go
Okay.
first.
Okay. Um, well, I am 63 years old, and I have been doing. I consider myself a spiritual being, a holy spiritual person. I don't technically go by the name or the title witch because there's so much negative stuff that comes with it in certain places of the world. But since I was about, I would say 10, 11, 12 years old, I found out that I could do a lot of stuff just from actually my thoughts. I was given a gift that I could see spirits ever since I was a real young kid. It doesn't matter if it was a full apparition. It doesn't matter if it was a portal that was open and spirits were coming through, shadow figures, whatever they were like attached, not attached to me, but they would do things to see if I could see them. And I learned very young to kind of ignore them and act like I don't see them because once I was telling Drew the other day, once I make eye contact with them, then they're like, oh, she can see us, let's see what else she can do. And they just kind of bombard you. I can be out in the streets or whatever and I see them around people. And then I started learning that people started being attached to me, like drawn to me, and especially if they were really sick. And by the time I was 13 years old, I started talking to people that had a sickness and they'd been to the doctors and they couldn't get healed. They've done everything. They went through everything. And I said, well, you know what? And I'm just 13 years old. And I said, well, let me try. So then I would start doing prayers for them and using certain herbs and making my own, as you can see in the back, making my own oils and stuff. And I started finding out that they were actually getting healed. But I would tell them, I'm not the one that healed you. It's my creator that healed you. He's just using me. Now it got to the point that I was doing a lot of cancer patients and they were actually on their deathbed, and then when I finished and they went to the doctor, saw them again, all cancer was gone.
Wow.
But since I turned about, I don't know, about 55, I stopped doing it because every time I healed somebody, I would I would get the symptoms like for a couple of days. But the older that I would get, it was harder for me to kick it out, and sometimes I'd be sick for a week. So I've just started my channel. I decided instead of healing people, I'll just show them what to do, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I
Brilliant.
used to go by spiritual healer, but a lot of people they kind of like separated themselves. I don't know why, but the title Mystical Love and Light, it doesn't seem to scare anybody away, so that's kind of what I stuck with.
It's a nice one. I like it. You go next, October.
Nice.
Helps if I unmute the mic though.
I do all the time.
Hi guys, my name is October and I live in the West Lothian area of Scotland and I'm originally from the northeast coast. I grew up beside the ocean, so I was very much a nature baby, and I think that is what drew me to kind of pivotal state of being in the witchcraft community. I learned a lot over the years, and I think it was just an organic growth of me going from a youngster into a young adult into adulthood. And I didn't even class myself as any particular thing until I was in my 30s, which is when I became a hands-on practitioner.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For me, witchcraft kind of saved my life. I was at a stage in my life where I was trying to communicate to spirits and things through deaths in my family, and I wanted to connect to spirits and I wanted to ghost hunt. So, a long story short, I had to research how to raise my vibration sometimes and lower it others. So, through doing that, I discovered witchcraft. So witchcraft came about at a time in my life where I really, really needed something to focus away from drugs, to be honest, and to cope with the grieving process. So through doing that, I have discovered my craft. It saved my life, my deities and things that I prayed to and that I prayed for somebody to basically help me. They helped me, and they've showed me my path ever since. They've showed me a way where you can cope with life through ritual, through healing, through candle magic, through senses, through your touch, through your smell, with like your herbs and your oils and things. So to me, it's not just a religion; it's an actual way of life. Witchcraft. The religion part of it for me is my deities, which is Santa Marta, Hecate, and obviously Jesus. And a lot of people think that's strange, but to me, there is like a Lord and there is a Jesus plays a part in the craft, and that is your faith in the Almighty, which is actually the decision maker of all things in my eyes. But yeah, that's basically where I stand with witchcraft today, and I help many people through the craft.
She helps me a lot of
No, I
technical
know.
stuff too.
No, I started to say, I know she does um, readings and things like that. So I mean, she's always so
Hmm.
busy. There's a lot of
Yeah, I
times I'll
like to
pop
help
up in her
people.
live streams and say hi to her. She don't even see me. She's so busy doing things. It's like, "Psst, okay,
See, the
I'll
thing is,
all
whenever I'm
right.
doing readings and things, I have to channel. Usually, see, this, when you're doing a tarot reading, it doesn't come from me. I'm just the one that channels the spirit. The spirit is the one that actually gives you the messages. You're just tuning into the cards and asking my guides to connect to the person's guides, and the messages all come from them. So, to me, I don't read the chat and things when I'm trying to stay in that zone, because you've got to be in a certain level of awareness and things, so you know it's not your feelings, that it's actually coming from spirit, which is the Almighty. It helps you to make all the decisions. But yeah, I help a lot of people. So, but so does Mystical Love and Light. I mean, Mystical Love and Light and October, I dare say, in their own ways, will help people, because that's what witches do. That's what we're here for, is to help people.
And that's what most people don't understand. They're thinking way back in the Salem days, way back and being accused of everything, not realizing that's what we do. We help people, we heal people, we take care of them, we try to, answer questions. To where like Drew, she does tarot cards, and I do osteomancy. So,
Would you like to explain a bit about that? I don't even know what that is myself. Mystical Love and Light.
Uh,
you don't know. Go ahead.
no, I was getting ready to say, I don't even know what that is, and then Drew beat me to it, and it's like,
No, I
oh
don't
my
know what
God,
it
here
is.
we go. Explain osteomasty.
Okay, osteomancy is when you use objects. Um, you want me to get my bag and show you, give you an idea of what it is?
If there's things in there you can show, certainly.
Okay, let me grab it real quick. It's right here.
Something I didn't know, Drew. Yeah. And I do apologise for taking over. It's just I was surprised. Just when you think you know something about somebody, they always surprise you, don't?
I like I said, when she mentioned it, I was kind of like, and then you said,
I
I don't quite
keep
know
it in
what
a
that is, and I'm like,
box.
hot damn, don't feel stupid now. I can actually ask her. I said, Drew don't even know. Wow.
Okay, do you know what throwing bones is?
Yes.
Okay. This is a form of throwing bones, and I have like I'm gonna set him over here on this side. And this, where's my camera? All different kinds of things. We have bones, but then we have a stick. We have this little guy here that is for armor. So you can have, I probably have 50 something items in this bag. And what you do, it's like throwing bones. Each one of the items, see like this right here. Where's camera?
There,
Camera,
but
right here.
there you go.
So for me, like this is a spine. If someone is having issues with their spine, so there's, say for example, um, for example, like this animal here, it's a deer. If this comes up, then either if you have a pet or a close friend of yours has a pet, something's going on with the pet. So I have like 50 something different items, and what I do is I'll shake them and then I'll throw them like throwing bones. And
Right.
depending
Hmm?
on where they're at, how they land, you read them. And if they're crossing over, if they're to the north or to the south, or they're out of the main circle, all of that you take into consideration when you're reading. And because before the reading, you ask them, what do you want a reading of? Is it a general reading? Is it about love? Is it about health? And then you ask your spirit to come in and assist so that everything can land where it needs to land so that you can read everything correctly. And it's called
Oh,
osteomancy.
there you go. You learn something new
Hmm.
every day. Brilliant.
Let's say I've
Yep.
seen uh in video and I've seen in movies and stuff where people will take pieces of bone or something, and they'll almost make like a two-sided die out of it,
Mhm.
and it'll have a picture of something on one side and the other side be blank, and would throw those, and it
Yeah.
would be like doing a large tarot reading. You would take what each
Right.
individual bone is saying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you would get your message from that. So that's very interesting, and I love the fact that everything there, with the exception, of the little animal, is all an earth-based item. You've got a natural metal, you've
Right.
got bone, you've got stick, and a lot of people don't realize
Right.
that Wicca, in its oldest form, is no different than the Native American religions of being an earth-based religion,
Yeah.
Right.
where caring for the earth and the power coming from the earth and everything was key.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
how can something that comes from something beautiful only be evil?
Yep.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
I mean, if you look at
and,
medicines,
and
for example, a lot of the medicines that we use today, especially aromatherapy and things, it originates a way back from when witches, if you like, and it's not even really witches, it's just people that's been spiritual through the years have tested what works and what doesn't. So basically, everything originates from Mother Earth, and witches and spiritual people, much like myself and my two sisters, have just found a way to channel that in a way that helps people, whether it be through candle magic, through doing jars, through pouches and things. It's just a way to help people in another form, much as like doctors and things, but we did it first. Well,
Right.
me personally,
yeah.
obviously.
Right. Yep.
So,
Because it's
Rob, oh, I'm sorry, go on.
That's okay, I think she was just
oh
agreeing with you.
you said talking to me?
Yes.
Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, because even like I've got like the stones in it, um, like the crow. Crow is a lot of times like a messenger, um, like a spirit that's trying to get through to you. I've got a crystal that I dug up myself out of the crystal mine. So each item represents something. It will even tell you if you have friends, if they're trying to stab you in the back, if if you need to pay attention more to your religion, if you're going to be going either on a flight or someone's going to be coming from far away to visit you, every item has its own meaning, and you read it according to where it is when you throw it.
It's amazing. Need to learn that.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk Wicca. I know that modern Wiccan has kind of become sort of laughable over the last few years based on what's happening. Oh, that was scary. All of a sudden, ones and zeros started coming up on my chat bar.
All right.
Somebody's trying to message me.
Huh.
Yeah.
Compared to old Wicca, whether it be Druid, whether it be whatever, how does it compare to what those of us in this generation know from modern day Wiccan? What's the comparison?
I think October, you're the best one to answer that because you've practiced Wicca in the past.
I started off in the sort of Wiccan side of things, but it was very short-lived. Although there is a lot of comparisons because I'm quite a nature-based person. My whole practice has stemmed from, for example, my marine wild conservation protection magic. I'm very much connected with the elements, the earth, the sea, and grew up right beside the water, right overlooking the North Sea and the South East River. So a lot of my practice has stemmed very much from Mother Earth from the very, very beginning, even before I knew what the craft was, even before I classed myself as a practitioner myself. So I think all of that for me has just been a natural raw thing. I don't really put a label on it as such, but I think that's about the closest that I would say that I've gotten to what you might call Wicca.
Right. See, I think that it's basically people have tried to follow the Wiccan path. A lot of people still do. It's just because of the different religions and different practices that the internet and things has opened up. Most people, in my experience, in my opinion, have found their own path. Is that better? Can you hear me, Drew?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, basically I think
Yeah,
that
for some
people
reason, I
have...
don't know why, for some reason, everybody sounds very, very quiet tonight. And
Well,
I don't have a volume control on here, I don't think. Let me see.
can you hear us better now? Bit better?
That's all the way up. Um,
I don't know.
Let me see here. Rob asked a question earlier, and it was actually a really good question. Kids, not just kids today, but even back through, you know, we're all varied ages here through each of our generations. Kids that have had imaginary friends.
Right.
Do you think they're imaginary, or are kids
Oh,
really speaking to something otherworldly?
oh,
Well,
definitely.
Mr.
I'll
Clover
answer
Mike,
that one.
yeah,
I'll
you answer
answer that
that.
one.
For
No,
sure.
I tell everybody listen to your kids because 90% of the time they are seeing, they are hearing, they are feeling exactly what the spiritual world wants them to see, feel, and hear. Just because I tell the parents, because you have outgrown it, don't don't tell your child it's nothing. Um, I actually tell parents, if your child comes to you and says there's something in the closet, then you get up and you go look in that closet. And you talk to the child and ask the child questions. What do you see? What do you feel? Don't blow it off and say there's nothing in there. And I'm like, no, kids, babe, from the time they're tiny, growing up, and as long as they stay open, they will continue to see them like
Nice and slow,
me,
Sonny.
where I've just always seen them, and kids will continue that. It's the parents that shut them down. There's nothing there. You're imagining things, and then they lose all of that spiritual gift that they have.
Yep.
I,
I
I,
have
I
that.
hate to make the comparison, but it's kind of like believing in Santa Claus.
Well,
Am I better now?
Santa Claus was somebody made up. Santa Claus wasn't a spirit from another dimension that can come through the veil. He was a
Well, and no, I absolutely positively agree. That's not what I meant. What I meant is
oh,
if you shut them down, then they lose the
Yeah.
belief in the magic.
Yeah.
okay,
If you
got
nurture
you.
it,
Yeah,
if you nurture it, it continues to grow and it grows with them, even sometimes into adulthood. I'm a fond believer,
right.
and Drew knows because she's known me longer than you other girls have.
Oh yeah,
This didn't
definitely.
used to be here.
Mhm.
But my belief in Santa Claus has now got me to that point where I've hooked up with people from up in Canada and stuff that belong to real beer Santa Clauses, an international group. So this year I'm going to start doing Santa Claus
Brilliant.
Cool,
because
The
cool.
series you just
I've,
did
I've
there at
always
Christmas was
believed.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was
yeah,
amazing at Christmas. Everything you did there, that
yeah.
full of December was dedicated to Santa, and it was fun.
Do you know that when you have your facial hair or longer hair, you tend to be more spiritual because your hair is like an extension of you, like an antenna.
All right.
So if you
That would
have
explain
long,
a lot of things.
yeah,
That would
Is there
explain a
anything
lot
you
of
want
things.
to
I never thought
ask,
about that.
guys? It's not often you get the chance to talk to three witches. Is there anything you want to ask? I think everybody's a bit shell shocked in Drew's chat tonight. You're
You
usually
guys heard
quite.
what she said, though. I'm more spiritual.
Hi,
That's what I'm
Maria.
saying, though. I mean,
So my wife has another word for that. I believe it's mental, but
well, now you
she's
can
my
start
wife. I'm
saying
supposed
you're
to.
spiritual.
Yeah, you're spiritual.
Yeah, yeah. If when she looks at me and says, "Stop being mental," I'm going to say
Oh goodness, Maria.
spiritual.
Yeah, mystical love and light said spiritual.
Yes. So, how is practicing? But besides the obvious, besides the fact that it's more openly accepted today than it was 200 years ago or 500 years ago, how is practicing today different than it was in the old days?
I think that's not a question for me. I've only been practicing about 5 years, and I've not managed to get out and do any outdoor rituals or anything yet. So, me personally, I'm looking forward to doing a bit of the old magic, intermingled with the way I do things. I would love to go out into the forest and do some rituals and things. And now that I've met October, who doesn't stay far away from me, maybe we can start doing that and show you what it's like.
yeah, most of my practice is nature-based, outdoors. I do most of my rituals are outdoors. I do everything connected with nature. So I do even things like my scrying. A lot of times is in the winter time because I'm very connected with the winter months. So I'll do black ice scrying and things like that in the forest, in moorland areas beside my home. I'm very much fingers in the dirt and toes in the sand kind of person when it comes to the craft.
I think you put into what you want. A lot of people will follow tradition, especially when you're first starting into witchcraft. You always follow the books and you follow what tradition tells you to follow. But through practicing, especially now that I am 5, 6 years down the line, maybe a little further, you actually start to involve your own magic, if you like, your own craft. I find that because now that I've opened up a coven, if you like, and it's not a coven where I'm the ruler or anything. It's just a place for all of us to go that's safe, that we don't need to worry about cameras and things because we are from all around the world. There's about 10 of us, so it's just a safe place to go. We can all share the craft, share spells, share things that work, and to me, that helps everybody become like one big witchy sisterhood, you know. So tradition, yeah, has got a big part to play in it, but I think it's more when you're learning. I don't know if my sisters agree with that.
Well, like for me, I think a big difference too is if you think about it, a long time ago, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have the telephones. So if somebody needed assistance, healing, anything like that, it was on a one-to-one. They would go. The the witch, so-called the witch, the healer, would go out and forge what they needed at that time for that one person. And I think now today, with all of the technology that we have, like I go out and I forge. It doesn't matter if it's winter or if it's summer, whatever's growing. All the stuff in the back, I have pretty much majority of it forged myself, to where instead of doing on a one-to-one, going out picking what I needed to help one person, I have it already. I've brought it in, I've dried it, because I used to do workings 2 and 3 and 4 of them a day for people, so I would have it here. So I think that's a big gap in the way it was done before and the way
Sure.
that it was, done here
Yeah,
nowadays, modern.
definitely. Plus, I think a lot of the time people are scared to reach out to witches and things. But I'm finding that more and more people are reaching out. I mean, for me, for example, I've not got anywhere near a successful shop as what Mystical Living Light's got. I've got more like 4 clients that reach out to me, which is for sleep pattern and emotional more than anything stuff I do for them. Some of them is healing candles and things. But a lot of the time people are scared to reach out to that. In the past I've been scared to reach out. But the more and more I find that we're doing podcasts, opening up our own YouTube channel to our practices, more people and more people are reaching out to witches to actually ask, what can you do for me? What is it that is different for the mainstream doc things? And that's where candle magic comes into it, and a lot of the time rituals will come into it. So witchcraft is really what you want it to be. It can be something something as simple as a candle spell or tarot readings or whatever, but you guys need to reach out to witches more and see what we offer you instead of maybe judging, you know.
That's correct, because the majority of the people that I have worked with, they've never come out openly, like in public, to ask my help. They've always got me either a side or send me a private message or an email. And a lot of times what I used to do is when I used to do the workings, I used to, without giving any names or anything, I would do it on camera, on a video, so anybody else needing to do it, they can learn. But they still are not open about it. They will come to me kind of like in hiding and then never tell anybody. That's why I used to always say, well, it ain't me, it's the creator that is doing it. That way
Yeah.
it would also take it off of them, and if somebody says, what happened, then they can say they had a prayer, and it helped
Yeah.
them however they wanted to, to phrase it.
Yeah. But people are opening up more and more to witchcraft. I see it every day, especially because I am in a small Scottish town. When I first came out of my path, people would turn their nose up at you and they would look at you strange and hide away from you and things and wonder if you were doing something to them because you would hear the rumours behind your back. But now I find that more and more people are asking, like, what is it you do? So people are getting curious, so that's a good
Yeah,
thing in my eyes.
that's very good.
Hmm.
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 Do you find that, October, in
Wow.
your area of Scotland, that people kind of look at you strange in in the past? Or is it
Um,
just where I'm in Scotland?
well, I'm just new in the area I'm in just now. I've been in my current home for since May of this year. But the
Right.
area I was in before, it was my close neighbours and people that knew me kind of knew. Other people didn't know really. I mean, I think most people had an idea, but they didn't really. I didn't like openly say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a witch." Hi, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just one of them things. But where I am now,
They'd be like, "Choo."
I, yeah.
Yeah.
having having said that, I've got a couple of window decals on my front door that may give the game away if you like. But I don't openly say to people unless they ask me. But regards in my spellcraft and stuff like that, a lot of stuff I do, like when it comes to helping other people, is usually offline. It's usually people that come to me and
Yeah, me
ask me,
too.
and I do stuff offline. Very, very few of it is like, in fact, pretty much none of it is online actually. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
find
I don't
that.
have a shop or anything like that. Primarily because years ago I didn't have the time to have a shop or anything like that, but now it's more of a, if somebody came to me and asked me, um, it would be on a person to person basis, if you like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are
Hmm.
changing their attitude.
Yeah, I try to keep everything natural. I make my own soaps. It's all natural. My oils. I don't go I don't go to a doctor because I kind of. If there's any doctors in the chat, I'm not telling people not to go to the doctor. This is me personally. If I can make something that will help me with no side effects, I'm going to try that first. And only after I've tried everything and exhausted everything and I feel okay, now I need to go to a doctor. Maybe I need an x ray or something. That I will go to a doctor for. But I try to keep everything natural. I don't buy over the counter medications. I don't take aspirin. I don't take ibuprofen. Nothing. I'll make me a pain oil if I need something for pain and I'll use it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
Yeah, I wild harvest
Well,
most
why
of
do
my
you live
things
in
too.
Texas? You need to get closer to Michigan. I need something for my arm. It's been a week now.
oh yeah, I watched one of your videos. I saw what happened. I watched the one you put out. I think on Monday when you got it. So yeah.
Yeah, it started last Friday night. I mean, I woke up literally an hour and a half after I went to bed, and I couldn't go back to sleep until I was just so exhausted I couldn't keep my eyes open. And I had to lay on my back with my arm up on a pillow, which
Wow.
I don't do back sleep very well, especially with my wife laying next to me, and I start going.
Yeah,
Then
that
she's.
went down like a
I don't know
lead
if you
balloon.
guys have ID channel where you live at, but women in America really honestly will put a pillow over your face and try to
Oh,
kill you. They
yep,
they
I
do it. I
believe.
mean, it's
I believe.
Oh, I can't say nothing. I snore. I get too tired. I
I
snore.
snore. I snore as well, must be honest.
But my
well,
husband's
I
gone
wish I
most
could
of
go
the
back
time,
in time.
so
I wish I could go back in time to when I was 6 years old and the doctors told my parents, "We swear, if you get his tonsils and adenoids cut out, he'll never snore again."
uh,
And they want to
That's
tie their asses up and make them sit in a chair next to my bed and see what they say in the morning. Oh, let me see here. Hey, Silver Knight Kyle. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in.
yeah.
So husbands in America will not do the same thing. My wife snores like a husky on a chainsaw.
I
And I
know.
have never once ever thought of lifting my head up in the middle of the night and putting one of my pillows over her face. I have thought about cutting her brake lines a couple times in her car, but I have never wanted to put a pillow over her face.
Oh dear.
Only problem
I
is
Just
I'm
don't.
always
watch it.
too damn tired to cut brake lines. So
I don't care if my husband snores. That just lets me know he's still alive and he's breathing, and I'm happy.
Well, they're still here. Yeah.
You know how to tell when he's not alive anymore, right?
He's not snoring.
When the big check comes in the mail.
Yeah, he always hands it to me. He always gives it to me anyway, so yeah.
Wait, what? Silver Knight Kyle, would my snoring stop if I had my hemorrhoids snipped out?
Oh goodness.
Well, much like another good old American thing my wife tells me all the time, do you often talk out of your ass? Hmm. Because my
Can
wife
you
knows that
freeze me,
I
man?
do.
Oh dear.
Oh God. So are each girls, and I should have asked before, are you girls um solitary practitioners, or do you actually sometimes get together with a group and do your thing?
I'm eclectic. I do everything. I've learned everything on my own. Without reading books and stuff. Now I have books, and my husband's bought them for me. But everything that I've learned, it's what comes natural to me. What I feel that my guide is telling me, what my gut is saying. If I'm doing a working and I plan on putting something in and my guide says no, use this instead, that's what I'll do. Because I don't follow any kind, I don't follow pagan, I don't follow Wicca, I don't follow none of that. None of it.
See, that's like me.
Hmm.
I do what my guide tells me to do, and it's always worked for me. Now at nighttime, a lot when I was doing healings, because I'm part Aztec, part Cherokee. So on my Aztec side of the family, I would have a notebook and a pen next to my bed. And when I'd get ready to go to bed, I would talk to spirit and I would ask my ancestors and say, okay, so and so is having this problem. I would explain it out loud and say, can you come to me in my sleep? Can you tell me what I need? And sometimes I'd be sound asleep and I'd sit up and I'd start writing, and and sometimes my husband would wake up. He's like, what are you doing? And he would see me writing and he's like, oh, okay. He'll roll over and go back to sleep. And in the morning I read what I wrote, and then I have to try to cipher out what I wrote, because they might tell me words that we don't go by those words now. And so then I would have to Google that word just to see what it was or what it meant, and then go from there.
Right.
So it's a sense of what do they call that? Spiritual writing. You where they put somebody in a an unconscious state and then have them write down whatever rolls through their head, and then you go back and analyze whatever they wrote later.
I guess it could be like that. I've never thought of it like that. But they would just, it's like, okay, like I would be sound asleep and then it would just come to me and I would sit up and start writing all the thoughts that was in my head, the words that came to my, even if I didn't know what it meant, and write it down.
Hmm.
Now, my husband even said, now this is really weird. I've never told anybody about this. This is really weird. My husband said, because I do that a lot with my Aztec side, my husband said he woke up in the middle of the night and he said my face was painted like if they were, like when they, like a shaman, when they get ready to heal somebody. And he woke me up and he said, honey, what's going on? Why is your face all painted? Well, I heard him and I said, I don't know. And I just rolled over and went right back to sleep. And the next day he told me, I said, maybe you were dreaming, maybe you were sleeping. He said, no, I was wide awake and your face was painted like the shamans would paint themselves when they were doing healing and stuff. I thought that was really weird. That's crazy.
That's actually very interesting. Very interesting. Life and I had an experience like that just a couple weeks ago where she swore she woke up in the middle of the night, looked beside her, and she swore that it was me, but the face didn't look like me.
Right.
Ah,
Wow.
Very curious.
yeah.
Yeah, Dan, we couldn't fix the echo. There was an echo with
Ridiculous.
Drew earlier, but she didn't have earbuds or anything. We eliminated that echo, but still found a slight echo, mystical.
Yeah, I
And
don't know what's
we
going
were
on.
15 minutes late getting it started, so I said, "Screw that little pss, 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 pss in the background. We
Yeah,
got to
my
get this
bad,
puppy
everybody.
rolling.
That's okay.
Peeps are waiting."
For
So
me, I
the reason
think
I
I'm just
ask
a bit of
about the
everything. Yeah, I think I'm just a bit of everything as well. I think you start off your practice, like I said earlier, with a certain, like if you follow the books and things, you always think you're going
echo
to be like
market
Wiccan and
fluctuation.
everything else. But I think you actually develop your own path. I'm a bit of a solitary as well, but I also like to hear other people's what the way other people do things, and then I maybe use a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I think everybody just is what you make it yourself, you know.
Right.
Unless you're part of a coven or something that everybody's the same structured way, and then it would be more and more you would stick to tradition and things like that. If you were part of a big coven that was based on the past, you know.
Yeah. Now, see, my
I, I,
grandmother. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to comment to what Silver Knight and Jan just said. Silver Knight said the click is a computer fan being picked up by a mic. I know it's not mine because my fan, you can't
And I'll
even hear
mute.
that bloody damn thing run half the time.
I'll mute and see if it's
Um,
mine.
but Jan, I'm with you. Many times when Drew has a live stream after I've shut down the studio at night and gone to the bedroom, I'll get up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, find out she was on during the night, and I'll sit here first thing in the morning while the coffee pot's warming up and everything, and I'll watch her live streams and stuff to see who was on there, what they talked about. So I agree with you. I could listen to Drew talk constantly.
Thank
Me and
you.
Drew have
Thank
been
you.
brother and sister now for my God, what, 3,
Well,
2.5 years,
yeah, but
3 years.
2, 3 years, yeah. Definitely.
Wow.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, because I had
October's
you and
known you for a long
Sherry on
time.
together.
Huh.
Yep.
The reason I ask about the solitary or coven based was because I used to date a hereditary witch, and her mother was still alive when we met, and she passed away about 2 years after I met him. So I ran the subbots and SBots for almost a year until they
Right.
found somebody else to do them. And I enjoyed the covet thing, but there was a lot of times it was really nice when it was just her and I sitting in my apartment with the candles doing our thing. So that's the reason I was
Doing
asking,
rituals
what.
amazing. I don't know if the other girls will agree with this or not, but there's something about being a witch and doing rituals that really does make you feel connected to everything, like the your Mother Earth, the gods, the goddesses, and things. When you call in the to the you call out, sorry, to the towers, the watchtowers in the north, the east, south, and west, and call in all your colours, all your elements, your air, fire, and water, and things, and you get yourself into a state of ritual, especially at Halloween, which is Samhain, of course, or Easter. There's a certain way you feel after you come out of ritual that you don't get anywhere else. It's just something that really cleanses your soul, I feel. I don't know if the other girls will agree with me or not.
I like listening to Drew too. Now that I can understand her.
Yeah, I think doing rituals is good, I think. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
I think actual rituals is that
Mm,
effect on me. It's a combination of the energies and the magnetic pull of everything and the feeling of being outside in nature. The wilder and rawer the weather, the better for me. I think I could go out and do a ritual in the snow. I love it.
We need to
I'm
do
maybe
one
weird.
outside October. I've not done one outside yet. Well, not a full ritual. I've done silly wee things when I've been trying to call in spirit and things in a graveyard or something, but I've never ever done like a full sistery ritual, if you know what I mean. I've never had the opportunity, so I'd
I
love to
do.
do that with you
I
this
do
year.
one called the Weight of the Wind ritual, and I go outside and I call it blowing away the cobwebs ritual. I go out and
Right.
I get blasted by the wind and it just blows all the crap away, all the funk and all the energetical stuff that builds up over
Right.
time. And I think if you don't do that, well, for me personally, if I don't do that enough, it starts to, block you down. So I feel it's very important to do that as well as rituals overall, but just cleansing and that type of thing as well. I love it.
And that's something you guys can do as well. Is to anybody can do that type of thing. Like when the wind is blowing, ask Mother Nature as the wind is blowing to take away all your negative that's around you, the negativity that's maybe in your mind and your soul. Ask Mother Nature to take that away when the wind is there, which is much like what October says she does in her rituals and things. Anybody can do that type of thing. It's your intent. That's what people need to understand about witchcraft. Everything is your intent, what you put into it, which is just the way the world really, if you really focus on what that means. So if you are in a windy day and you're having a bad day, ask Mother Nature when they're blowing to blow away all the negativity that's around you. Start dabbling a little bit in the little things like that, and then you'll get a kind of idea of why we do what we do.
Yep, everybody has the ability to do what we do. They just have to open their eyes and open their ears and think outside the box because we don't have, other than me having a gift of seeing spirits, what I do, I always tell everybody that's why I try to teach them on my channel how to do it because they can do it. They have to believe in themselves deep down. Just saying words don't mean anything if you're not putting, like Drew says, that intent into it. You have
Yep.
to mean the words. You have to feel the words. It has to come from your gut, from your brain, from your heart, from your body, from your soul, and make it happen.
Yep. And start imagining yourself being cleansed and things after these things. Everything that you visualize is going to manifest in some sort of way if you do it properly. It's all about putting the visualization into your intent in some sort of action plan in your magic and things. That is why we manifest, is we manifest things that we want through ritual, and that is what the intent comes in the concentration. You imagine yourself being that driver, being that new in that new car and things, and then that's where you visualize it and make it happen.
If
But you
you
need to
can
believe.
visualize, you have a jump start on it
Yep.
because that's a
Yep.
big part of it.
Now, I'm really happy that you guys brought up, you know, the online thing and intent, because that was a big thing that I wanted to get into was, you know, back when I was real young and just getting involved with friends and stuff whose family practiced, they wanted to meet you. They wanted to get to know you, find out where your heart was, find out where your mind was before they opened up about it. Do you think with technology where it is today and like mystical, you teaching other people how to do what we do you think it's more dangerous not meeting them face to face, not getting not feeling them out, not learning them, not knowing what their true intent is, and then
No,
teaching them
no.
basically you're taking a kid who's never held a gun and you're handing them a gun and saying, okay, there you go, and here's two clips to go with it. Thank you for your service. I mean, Do you? What do you think? What do you girls think? I mean,
Well, the way that I
Everything.
look at it, go
You
ahead,
go
Drew.
mystical. No, you go mystical.
Uh,
You
I
go.
started to
maybe
say
I shouldn't have said
that.
gun. Maybe I should have said you're handing them an anathema and saying, okay, you're either going to
Yeah.
perform ceremonies with it or you're going to stab your neighbor in the back. I mean, uh, 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 how how do you feel about it?
Well, the way that I see it is like I have a shop and I sell a lot of things on my shop. And the way that I see it, I put on there the way to use my products and I try to explain different ways of how to use it, good ways in using it, good intent in using it. But I'm not their guide, I'm not their guardian, I'm not their mom, their dad to stand over them and hold their hand on how they're going to use it. I do when I make oils and powders and stuff like that. I do put a clause in there and say no harm come to no one.
Mhm.
I always put that in everything that I sell, and I know that my powerful working, if they are going to do it and use it that way, it's going to peter out on them.
Yep.
It's not going to work the way they want it to work. Now, if they're going to
Yep.
use it to heal, to help someone, like that, it's going to do everything for them. I have gotten so many reviews that yes, it worked, and all of this.
Mhm.
But if they're going to use it, if someone's innocent and they're going to use it for the wrong reason,
It just won't work.
it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Hmm.
That's because when she's making it up, she's putting the intent into it that it isn't going to do any harm. Even where it lands in the world, it'll never do any harm to anybody, no matter how they use it, which is a great thing to do. And you're meant to do that with absolutely everything in witchcraft, even a candle spell, because you don't know where the powers that be you'll get the. Say, for example, you're doing a candle spell for somebody, you always say in harm to none. Because if you're doing a candle spell for somebody to get some luck and they want maybe some luck for to win some money, they could walk out, buy a scratch card, walk across the road and get hit with a bus. So you have to say in
Hmm.
harm to none with absolutely everything, because the powers that be, if you don't say that, will absolutely find any way to get you that money. So it's really has to be careful what words you use as well. You know,
Hmm.
words are very powerful in witchcraft.
I mean, look at it this way too. If you're just going to say do a working for someone that wants to lose weight, okay, and they're like, I need to lose 10 pounds. Okay, so I'll make up a powder or something, and a prayer, and I always put no harm comes to no one. That includes themselves. You don't want them to get in an accident and lose their arm. That's 10 pounds right there they just lost. You don't want it to happen that way, see?
No,
Yeah, I mean, you don't want
exactly.
them. So when you say that, it's also for themselves too. That no harm comes to no one, meaning them too. You want them to lose the weight the right way, not something like that,
Sure.
because you have to think out the box with all of the different things that can happen and try to phrase things that will cover, you know, things like that.
I think phraseology
Hmm.
is extremely important when you are doing any spell working because the universe can take you quite literally. And if you say
Yes.
something and you don't mean it a certain way, but you say it in a certain way, well, then it could turn out not quite as you like, as Mystical said, in the wrong way.
Yep. I agree.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Wow.
Thank you,
Now, see,
guys.
now I I know Drew, does the paranormal thing also. But how about the other girls?
Yeah, so the two of them does as well. Yeah, Mystical Love and Light. She's actually got a great team. You want to tell them a bit about it, sis?
What?
Your ghost busting team. I was going to say your ghost hunting team.
yeah, I have a paranormal group. It's all us girls. It's five of us to total us girls. Now, my husband, he is my van security. He stays in the van watching all my devices and stuff that I don't take in with me. He's not a paranormal person. He don't want nothing to do with ghosts and spirits. He'll stay in the van. That's what he does. He don't want nothing else to do with it. So we do it, and like one of them that we were on, the girl was saying that she keeps getting scratched, and all of the paranormal stuff going on, and while we actually have her on camera filming her, she's talking, but she's doing this and she's pointing at her neck, trying to get our attention to look at her neck. And you could just see big red, huge splotches on her neck where she was actually being choked. And she was pointing, trying to get our attention. And we got it all on camera where it was, right there as it was happening.
Yeah, she's got quite a
Hmm.
good channel. And you also, October, you're going to be start going and back out investigating again and things on your channel, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh yeah.
I've been quite a few places, but not recently. I've been to a lot of places near me. Some places are historically connected, but others are just bits and pieces of areas within where I live, which are maybe not necessarily known as having paranormal connections. Sometimes when you're out and about, you pick up things and then you go further exploring and see what you find, so it's not always about just homing in on particularly historical locations, although that I do as well. And where I used to live, there was a old mental asylum, TB and military hospital that I used to frequent quite a lot. I've got some videos on my channels of that actually. Hi.
And as I said, she stays not far away from me, so we will be starting going out places together when the weather changes here in Scotland. So
Yeah.
definitely keep an eye out on all the channels, guys. We do a bit of paranormal investigating. As I like to tell people, witchcraft can play a part in that, especially with your protection salts and things and your crystals and things like that. You can actually choose to incorporate the two. Mystical Love and Light and October will probably agree with me. I think every paranormal investigator should have either a witch on their team or take the advice of somebody spiritual like witches for their protection and such like before they go out or do any sort of communication with spirits.
I think protection and being very mindful and respectful as well are top keys. You see some people going out there willy-nilly and they're a bit like, in your face with some of the stuff they're asking, and I think you really have to be mindful and respectful. And not just that, but sometimes you go to areas where they're very old connections, and I think sometimes with regards to that, people forget that when some of these people were in the living, they were in a completely different time to now, and a lot's different to obviously their time. So I think when it comes to things like that, you have to be really respectful of that, and I think that's a big part of going out and doing those type of investigations as well.
Definitely.
I have to say hi to my honey. I see him in the chat.
Hi, Lee. Also,
Yeah,
Mystical
Lee
Love and
put
Light's
just a few
husband
minutes ago.
Lee does a lot of gold mining. What do you call it? Mystical Love and Light.
Sculptures? The
He does
sculptures
this-
you're talking about?
It does sculptures, and they also goes and picks rocks and foliages and things.
Forges, yeah. Yeah.
So remember to subscribe to all the channels on Mystical Love and Light's channel, guys, because she has got a couple on there that's for different things.
Yeah, I'm like
Thrifting and
totally
things as well.
busy beaver.
Yes. It's all good though. It's all good
Wow.
content.
Hey,
honestly.
Chris.
Hi, Christopher.
Hi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny
Ghost
too that you
Squad.
mentioned mystical about your husband going out and doing your security and stuff. If you look back to some of my videos from last year, there's a few cemeteries where I have a security officer out there that's actually a retired police officer and correctional officer. So, not only does he have a radio, but he also carries. So if anything happens to us,
Well, let me tell you a story
a
about
lot,
my husband. Oh, go ahead.
Well, hold on just a second. There's been a few places we've gone to where the police have wanted us out by a certain time. I mean, they let us stay after it closed, but they wanted us out at a certain time because the whole woods around these cemeteries is where the homeless people live.
Hmm.
Oh,
And they've had these guys walking up to people's windows, walking at them when they get out of their cars in the surrounding neighborhoods. So they didn't want to take a chance of something happening to one of us. But it was also one of the most active cemeteries we ever been to. Um,
right.
if you guys look back to the old videos, it's the Prospect Hill Cemetery video where my mother-in-law went with
Okay.
me on her first investigation and saw a shadow figure on the hillside.
I'll have to
Right.
watch it.
Need to watch
Hmm.
that one.
Here is a little 5 foot tall woman walking up a hill going, I see something up there. I'm going to go check it out. And I'm like, Mom, be careful. Mom, be careful. She wasn't up that hill for 15 seconds. She come down at a professional athlete's pace. Screw this. Screw this. I saw it. It was 5 foot from me.
Oh
Fuck
dear.
it. Nope. Ain't dealing with it. Straight to the car, got in the car, locked the door.
Because
Whatever
you don't
was
have to
there,
be.
she was looking at a huge stone. All of a sudden, this thing just boop right out around that stone, and I think she might have pooped,
Oh dear.
honestly, because there was
There's
a weird
always that
smell when
danger.
she shot back past the camera. It was freaking hilarious. I so much because Jan and Jay from JJ Adventures was here a few months ago. I wanted to take him to that cemetery, but it was so hard to get
Definitely.
into that cemetery in the first place. I don't
Right.
know. We're gonna have to figure something
Yeah.
out. But please,
Definitely I'll go
Mystical, go
back.
on with what you were saying about your husband.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say that, but I'll add this in first. You don't have to be a fast runner. You just have to outrun the slowest person because they're the one's going to get caught. As long as you're in the front,
Amen
you're
to that.
good. But
It's it's the
I was
it's
telling
the
Mystical
same
Drew.
as
fast.
wolf hunting with a slingshot.
Yeah, yeah. But I was telling Drew in October the other day that my husband, since he's in the van, and before on one of them that we went to the witch's grave, before we even got out, all the other girls on the team was already seeing shadows and movement and everything in the grave site before we even got out. So everybody was already scared before we even done anything. And my husband said, if all of y'all come running back real fast, I'm going to lock the door because he want to make sure if there was any negative energies following us, that he wasn't going to let it in the van with him. So he said, if I see y'all running over here, I'm locking up all the doors. I'm like, you better not.
Yep.
Bravely.
Chris just said best. Chris just said it best. I mean, I don't think I could have phrased it better than Christopher just phrased it. Why do you think I take Alan with me? I can run faster.
Yeah.
Poor Alan. Wait a wee
Yep.
minute, I go out ghost hunt with you as well, Christopher.
I hope you can run, Drew.
Yeah, I can run faster than Christopher, believe me. I'll make sure.
I might be the
What?
oldest one out of my group,
What?
but I guarantee you I'm going to outrun them.
Me too.
What's really funny is the time we see Christopher and Alan out in an investigation, and Chris takes off running, and Alan throws a stick between his legs and trips him and passes him by.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Choo."
And
I'll give him that tip.
all you see is this. Alan passes him by. I
I'm going to
mean,
give him that tip.
well, Jay can't run at all, so I've made.
Oh dear.
Oh Jesus, God help me. Oh, but
Yes,
you
Drew, I think
mentioned
I'll go
tent, or
first.
wait, shit, we keep getting away from it. Go back to your story, Mystical. Go back to your story.
Which one?
The one the one about your husband. You said you wanted to tell the band thing first, but then you.
Oh, I did. I told it. That's the one that he said that if he saw all of us running toward the van, gonna lock the van real
Lock the
quick,
van.
so we couldn't get in the van because if something was following us, he was gonna make sure it wasn't gonna get in with with us. So he was gonna lock the van and leave us all out there. He don't do paranormal.
And it's funny because my partner doesn't do it either. He comes and holds the light, but he always says if he sees something, he's going to run. So he's going to be no good in the end up holding the light if someone comes. He's going to run. So,
Maybe he'll throw the light and you can pick it up.
Yeah, probably. Oh dear.
Lisa, don't forget about my abduction.
Ooh.
Oh, honey, I think we need to leave that for you to tell when you're here. He was abducted.
Yeah, we tell us.
Yeah, I was starting
Yeah,
to say
he
one of
was.
these days for each for each of the girls when they get especially when October starts investigating again and stuff like that, I'm going to get each individual group back. I'm going to get Drew back. I'm going to get Mystical and Lee and whoever else wants to come on in. I'm going to get October back, just in their groups, and talk about their their investigations.
Experiences.
As 2023 rolls on, because I'm not going to hold back this year. I've got some
I'm sure
weird
Chris.
shit going this year.
I'm sure Chris and I
Right.
can come up.
I've
Yep.
got quite a
Well,
few
we're
cracking
available.
videos
I'm
of
the one with the
those.
car keys. She went back in the car
You're on
first.
the car keys, that's true. I'll be sitting on the roof. Waiting you coming.
Chris, and it's really funny because I keep saying, how I would love for you to come and visit and hang out and go do an investigation with me and stuff like that. But just understand that when you do come, much like when my friend Alan comes from England, my wife will probably do the driving because much like the last time my friend Alan was here and he was sitting on the driver's side of the car and kept doing this.
Oh dear.
Where our steering wheel is where your passenger sits. So, yeah, some weird shit. I could never get used to that. I mean, not
Yeah,
that
we
I
didn't
haven't been
used to
drunk
if you
before
come
and
to
drove on the wrong
Scotland.
side of the road anyway, but I mean, that was years ago.
Well, let me tell you
That
this
was like
little.
30.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
No, go on.
Okay, so let me tell you this
I
little
will,
story.
Kyle.
Whenever, a lot of times when spirits want to get my attention, like say if Lee's driving and I'm on the passenger side, and when had there been a wreck, somebody was killed on the side of the road, they always want to get my attention, and they start off like, okay, like a whirlwind does, like a funnel.
Yeah.
Okay, they start
Mm-hmm.
off like that on the side of the road and they start manifesting into their form. Okay, well, once I start seeing that, I try to ignore them because if they'll shock me to get my attention. The closer I get, they actually will send out like a shock wave. Okay,
Right.
and I would normally tell Lee, there's a spirit on the side of the road or something like that. Well, sometimes I don't say anything to him. I just ignore them. Well, one day, Lee's driving, he's, with his hand, and his other hand, he's holding my hand, So he's driving holding my hand. Well, as we approach this one spirit that was manifesting, trying to get my attention, she sends out shockwave. Well, I'm holding Lee's hand. It goes through me and it hits Lee.
Wow.
And
Oh.
Lee's like, and
Ow.
Lee's driving, and he's like, "Oh crap! What was that? Was that a spirit?" And I said, "Yeah, I was ignoring it, and it went through me and hit you." So he knows now what it feels like,
Really?
because yeah, it just went straight through me and caught him because he was holding my hand.
He's telling you to tell us about the little gun.
So they actually manifest to you like a Texas dirt devil.
Yeah, a lot of them do. That's on the side of the roads. It'll start that way, and then you'll start seeing it form into a human form.
Oh.
Yeah, the
Wow,
more that
that's
it
very
does,
cool.
he says, tell them about the little girl I saw. So we were when I drive down a certain road, I always saw this little girl. She's a spirit. She was killed on that road with her mother. It was a car wreck. So, and I had never told Lee that I saw this little girl there. And then one day Lee, and there's no service there like for a cell phone. So when Lee come home, he comes like in the house fast. He's like, I tried to call you, but we didn't have no service. I said, what's going on? He goes, I saw a little girl and she disappeared. When I seen her, and I said, yeah, I see that little girl all the time. I knew exactly who it was. He
Right.
said, so to test me, he said, where was she at and what was she wearing? So I told him where she was at. I told him what she was wearing and everything. And he said, yeah, you've never told me that. I said, I know, because a lot of times I don't want to scare him if he's driving by a certain area. You know,
Right.
I don't want to scare him and tell him.
By
But
the
he
way, there's
saw
a girl
her.
stands up there.
Yeah, but she manifested so he could see her, and then she disappeared. As he approached her, she disappeared in front of him.
Wow. So you're
Wow.
scared, Lee?
So it's almost like the more he stays with me, the more spirits are around. He's starting to pick up now. He's starting to see them too.
Right.
It's almost like it's rubbing off on me, and he's picking up all those vibes.
Hmm. Now, learning Wicca. I know there's a lot of published books out there. I believe the guy's name was last name was Alexander or Anderson or something like that. He put out several books on Wicca, and there are obviously several others. Um, do you think it's better to learn from a book or better to learn from a person, whether it be, face to face or just chatting through social media? What do you think is best?
A bit of both, I would say. Read the books. I always tell people, read the books. Get the basics, especially if you want to learn the history of it, with your Gerald Gardner and things like that. If you want to learn all the different aspects of witchcraft and things, and maybe then make your mind up, or do what I did, read it, take it all in, and then just dabble a little bit and see what works for you, and then that's it. That's all I ever do, is see what works, and then I look at other witches such as Mystical Love and Light, such as Lady Gravedancer and things, and I see what they do, and then I incorporate my own into what they show me. So it's basically, it really is what you make it and what you want it to be, but I don't know about my other two sisters.
You don't have to actually always go to magical books either. A lot of books that I got pulled towards were a lot of second-hand books and antique books that I found about. And a lot of them are really interesting, like, wild gathering and foraging books, books about different trees and plants in your area and location. For me, I feel that where you are located, where I used to stay, I think I've said this before, where I used to stay in my other property and where I am now, the energies are different. So, like the trees and plants that grew there, sometimes it's slightly different trees and plants that grow where I am now, and that's only 20 minutes in the car further uphill, if you like, than where it was before. And I found a combination of that, plus some magical books, and then plus learning as you go. I think learning day by day as you go is actually one of the best ways of doing it, because you pick up little things, and not every witch does everything the same either. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own ways of doing things, and I think it's a really good thing when you're learning all your own little bits and pieces. Sorry, I sound like such a noob because I'm
Hmm.
not used to doing live videos.
It's okay, sis.
And so the way that I see it is, as far as workings go, as far as spells go, I feel like the only books that I would need or recommend are herbs books, uh, things like that of the nature. As far as the spells itself goes, I think it's better to learn from someone, because if you have questions, you can come back and ask that person. If you don't have certain things and you want to substitute something, then you can come back and you can ask that person. I always say, I'll show you how it's done, I'll give you the foundation, and then you can follow it to the T if you want. But if you want it to work for you better, to put yourself into the working, add something or take something out of it and make it your own.
Yep.
Hmm. Wow. All right, let me see here, because there was another question. Um, but I want to get it right because I don't want to offend anyone. So, um, find one here I can read that's actually printed. There we go. There's a good one. Bind the Wiccan laws ye must in perfect love and perfect trust. 8 words the Wiccan read fulfill, and ye harm no one. No one more do what ye will.
Yeah.
Lest in ye self defense it be, ever mind the rule of 3. Follow this in mind and heart, and merry meet and merry part. The Wiccan read. Do you guys believe in that?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think you make it what you will, though. I don't. I think the read is something that every witch and things is going to have anyway. We're all going to have that basic in us. I mean, I've already did the read on my channel. I've already did the full lot of the Wiccan read. I've read it out on my channel, and I think every witch has got to start there because that is what our core beliefs are. If you read it as everything that we do believe in, the being good to Mother Nature and things like that. So yeah, the read's important in my life anyway. I don't know
How
about
about you, other
yourselves.
two?
Do you want to go first, October? Oh, she's got hers muted again. Is she
Yeah.
muted?
I only
Okay,
mute.
so
I only mute it so if I'm coughing or that, I don't disturb the rest
oh,
of the people.
okay. Do you want to go? You can go next.
Sure.
You're
Yeah. The read. There's aspects of the read that maybe are I take in a slightly different way because, like I say, I am not Wiccan, but I do respect all the aspects of it. As far as I think when you are practicing, you have to be mindful anyway. Whatever practice, whether you class yourself as a witch or whether you don't, I think you have to be mindful in all aspects anyway. When you're working with energies and people and nature, it's just a case of being respectful, mindful, and um, pretty much just being all those things.
Yeah, I agree. You've got to have the core beliefs. Maybe not all of them, but the basic ones. Yeah.
the way that I look at it is, since I don't follow Wicca and nothing else, I say stay true to your morals. If you're true to your morals, everything is going to work out. That's
Mhm.
pretty much as simple as the way that I see it.
Yep. It's
And
definitely
Yeah,
I don't
that.
follow your
blame you for
moral
that
compass.
because whether you're Wicca or whatever you are, that moral compass is. Uh, I've always did everything like whatever wrong you do, it's going to come back on you multiple times. Here
Mhm.
in America, well, Mystical knows, we have an old saying, karma's a bitch. And karma will come back and it will bite you in the ass every time.
Mhm.
It may take 20 years, but it's going to come back and it's going to get you. Karma is a nasty beast. And I've always looked at everything. That's why I always tell everybody, our family here on the platform, especially, is just it. It's a family. It's an open book. If one of us are hurting, if one of us is sick, if one of us hit the lottery, share it. Be proud. Let your friends and your
Mm-hmm.
family know. And it's an open book. I mean, there's no reason to keep those secrets or ever wish to do anyone any harm or mislead them or anything else, because it's always going to come back and get you.
Yep.
Exactly.
Um, I'm trying to think. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Okay, as paranormal investigators, we're gonna go. We're gonna kind of tilt off the wicked thing here for a second. I've always been a believer, though there are several investigators that will use a spirit board or they will use a Ouija board. I will not buy a store bought Ouija board because I always believe that you never understand or you never know the intent of the person who's making it.
Right.
They could be putting bad intention into it. I would prefer to make it myself or go to a very close friend and have one made where I can scry or whatever. What do each of you feel about that?
Who wants to go first?
Me personally, I don't see the difference between a Ouija board and any other form of communicating with spirits. The only thing I advise is set your rules before you touch it, and make sure as you do with any spirit box you say goodbye. Just treat it as any other form of communication with the spirits. And if you do want to use one, make sure you do it the right way. That's what I would say. And the fact that you're getting it made from scratch yourself would probably be safer, yes. But as with anything you bring into your home, cleanse it anyway, especially when you are going to use it for spirit communication. So basically, that would be up to yourself if you want to make it. But yeah, I would just advise that you protect yourself with everything. They're about my sisters.
October, do you want to go next?
I would help if I unmute it. um, yeah, I'm terrible for that. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, I think for me, I'm not really a big one for spirit boards. I mean, I have dabbled a little bit, a long time back, but I prefer a more hands-on approach, and a lot of the stuff I do tends to be out with that. And if I do anything like that, it tends to be more pendulum work or my cards. I've got cards for a lot of things, not just tarot and oracle, but like you can get communication cards as well and stuff like that, which I do use. I also use runes and oghams as well, and other forms of divinational tools. So that's what I tend to use more than that type of thing. But like Drew said, I think if you are going to go down that road, be respectful, careful, and just know what you're doing before you go down that road.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way that I see it is yes, Drew is correct. It is a tool. Now, it doesn't matter if you buy it used or new. Both ways, you're going to have to cleanse it first. So if you buy it used, you're going to have to cleanse it anyway and clear all that out. The same way you're going to treat a brand new one the same way and treat it as if it were used. You don't know who touched that board before they wrapped it up and boxed it. You don't know if that person was having a bad day, if they've got an attachment to them, if there's a lot of negativity in their life that's going to open something up, or if before they stuck it in a box through the machine, whatever they were doing, that they were playing with it and being silly, you don't know. So you have to
Exactly.
treat that new board the same as if it were used. You cleanse it. I cleanse everything in my room. Everything gets cleansed before it is brought into my house.
Me
And
too.
yes, it's the same tool. Even if you use the pendulum, it's the same thing. You have to know if you're going to open something up, if you're going to call upon a spirit, you have to close it. Most people, they get scared, they do something, they get scared and they run away, and the door's open for anything to come through because you've talked to the spirit, you opened it up. There's no
Yep.
two ways about it. So people that say it's bad, it's because they had a bad experience because they probably didn't do the correct procedures. They probably didn't even cleanse it before, and you have to cleanse it afterwards. After you close the door, you still have to cleanse it. Get you some salt, sprinkle some salt on it, put an X on it, put an X, put the salt around it and cleanse it and say a prayer over it even after you've closed the door. So for me, it doesn't matter. You treat them the same. A used one or a new one, you treat them the same.
Uh,
Wow. Wow. All right, guys. We have about 19 minutes left, and I'm going to end this because it'll be 2 o'clock a.m. in Scotland. It'll be 9 o'clock here for me in Mystical, but I haven't eaten yet. My wife got home after the stream started and brought home
Look,
pizza.
October
my
9 will
husband
fall
brought
asleep.
me lunch. It's sitting here.
If October and I fall asleep, just wake us up, guys, okay? Just a loud noise through the...
We won't be able to wake up October. She's muted.
No, I've got terrible allergies, and I don't want to be coughing all over my family.
Well, that's awful.
That's okay. You won't spread it this way.
I'm telling you, I've got allergies
So-
from hell. They drive me bananas.
Well, hey, I'm learning new things every day. October and I had a chance to talk for a little bit earlier today, and I asked her one of those huge, earth-slowing questions that are on the minds of Americans everywhere. Does your leaves change color in the fall in Scotland?
Yep.
Yes.
I couldn't think of anything else to frickin' ask her, so I asked her about some damn leaves.
Oh, dear.
It's not like you, Drew.
Does
want to
anybody
stop
in the
for a
chat have any
question?
questions for these amazingly wonderful women? I seen one question pop up a little bit ago. I think Meg asked it. Let me see if I can. That's not it. Nope. Would you?
Yeah,
Oh no. Here we go.
you've done
Christine
once.
asked it. Christine asked it. How would you describe the difference between a white witch and any other witch?
Do any of you girls want to go first?
I don't think there's a difference. People, even though I don't go by the word witch, people are always asking me, are you a witch or are you a white witch? I think there's a misconception. People think a white witch only does certain things, maybe like a kitchen witch or a head witch maybe. But I don't think there's a difference because no matter what you do, some people say there's a gray area and there's a dark area, there's a black area. I don't see that because depending on the situation, you're going to use your words accordingly. So I don't think that there is a difference. Now, some people that purposely do things to harm people, then there's a totally different word for that. I don't even know if it's even allowed on here, so I'll just not say it. But I think that's not even part of the white witch or grey witch or whatever.
No. Every witch will do what they want to do. The colours and things are just a label. At the end of the day, everything is balanced. All of us will use, and because you say dark doesn't mean dark magic isn't dark as in something bad or something evil. It just means that you manifest in the darkness, or you manifest. See, people will get it wrong when you say you're a dark witch. Dark witches just mean that they work with dark energies, which isn't bad energies. It's just darker energies than your light energies. So it's a whole podcast on its own. But to let you understand, every witch is just a witch, and you'll use anything you need to use. So the labels are just labels. But
I
all
agree.
the colours.
Let me explain this to you, which a lot of people don't get. If I'm doing a working and I need a lot of assistance from a lot of energy, this isn't round like Earth, but we'll just pretend it's the whole universe, okay? And this is the best way I can explain it. if I am calling up on the dark of the universe, it doesn't mean dark as in bad. It doesn't mean dark as in evil. Think in your head about the universe. There is more vast of darkness than there is of the light. Okay? So when you need something more powerful, you're going to call on the dark part of the
Uh-huh.
universe because it's more vast. There's more there's more energy, more power coming in. It's like saying, are you going to ask one person to help you or 10 people to help you? The one person would be the white part of the universe, the 10 people would be the dark part of the universe. So the dark isn't a word used for bad. It just means the vast. There's more vast darkness of the universe that you're
Yeah.
calling on.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, God, I don't know. Chris, I don't know who to ask for that. I think probably Mystic, since she plays with the oils and stuff like that. I think she would be the one to ask about a spell to help your hair grow back.
Have you got one, sister, and I can make it up and I'll rub it
I
on his head for you?
actually I do have one.
Oh, there you go, Christopher. Us witches will talk and I'll put it on for you when I see you next.
I'll
Just
send you the recipe, Drew, and then you can pass it on.
Sure. There you go,
just remember,
Christopher.
Chris, don't drink it. It's a topical. It's a
Put it on your
topical
head.
thing because if you drink that
Yes.
every time you poop, it's going to tickle.
And you're gonna put it on, and you're gonna rub it, and there's a chant that I will send with it, and you say the chant 3 times. And the reason for that is some people will put it on and do this and think it's done. No, you do it and you chant it 3 times, and that way you know you've rubbed it in long enough.
Okay.
He said he wants to look like an '80s pop star.
Okay, by next year.
He's got to go to a plastic surgeon for that, I think.
Shit. Oh God, she went
Hair
there.
makeup.
We were
Sorry.
driving along. We were driving along, trying to look at the scenery off the edge of the cliff. She grabbed the steering wheel and went, "Bah!"
Sorry, Chris. Just kidding. My bad.
12 damn minutes left, and now I lose control of this bus. Oh God.
Well, we're going to show you who's
So
in control.
uh, if you guys couldn't tell by the advert for this thing, I knew was who was in control long before we ever started.
Oh dear.
Any more questions for the girls? I know there's questions out there. Jan even said earlier she had a bunch of questions, but there wasn't enough time. Did not yesterday's video teach you we always have time?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
See, the universe don't have time. So you can ask anything you want since there's no time for the universe.
Yeah, Christine, that you tend to find that, but people's attitude is changing every day, so people are less and less using the labels, I think, but that's an old-fashioned attitude, is using the white and black to describe witches, you know, but people's attitude is changing. I see it every other day. I do.
You stick with somebody that's got morals and you can't go wrong.
That's it. That's basically what it is, guys, especially with your karma in things. Is if the universe thinks that what somebody has done isn't good, that is where karma will come in, because a lot of the time the universe will not like something that's happened anyway. So if you draw their attention to it and say, I feel as if this situation did me wrong, can you please make sure that person gets their karma with harm to none, and you don't want any harm physically to them, just to learn their lesson. That's a genuine thing that you want them to learn. You want them to learn by their mistakes. So I feel if the universe justifies what you're asking, it'll happen and that person will learn a lesson by it. Not necessarily getting hurt or something, but they will learn a lesson by it. So I feel that's how karma comes into a lot of it.
You know, I never did. I never did ask this earlier when October and I had a chance to chat. But she made the remark when we were chatting earlier about where's a TARDIS when you need one. So I sent her a picture of me standing by the control panel in the TARDIS, and she never said anything. And it's like, I have one. I have one. I just used it in my video yesterday.
Right. Coincidence not.
No, it's one of those things like
Yeah, Meg.
I think I was catapulted into the wrong time. I'm in the wrong time, I think. I'm an old witch in a modern world.
Oh, so.
That's
And oh, so.
Definitely, JJ. Keep an eye on the channels, especially Mystical Love and Lights, because this craft will be shared more and more over there.
we are still behind the rest of the world. Remember, no, that's a good point, Christine. That's a good point. I have to explain, guys. Yesterday, only because I'm a huge fan of all things history, and 2023 is the 60-year anniversary of Doctor Who. So I done a history on the lure of Doctor Who from a fan's perspective. The conventions, the fans, the writers, the editors, things like that. And I did a lot of TARDIS special effects and uh, put myself on Gallifrey and everything because I've been a Whovian for 34 years.
My mother was
So
terrified of the Daleks. Even when we were younger and Doctor Who was on, she would not let us watch it because she absolutely freezes up at the Daleks. She is petrified of them.
My granny made me
I
a
so
Tom
want to
Baker
build
scarf.
one.
My
Tom
granny
Baker was
knitted
great.
me
I
yeah, he
myself,
knit.
I've always been a David Tennant fan, and then Eccleston was my second favorite. And I loved their personalities. Especially Eccleston. I loved how he done things.
The original.
Yeah, I could see you as the new Doctor Who. That'd be Doctor Hedrew.
Dr. McDrew.
But you better damn well bet I would sport that
No
TARDIS,
problem.
and I would sport the scarf.
Yeah, you would
So
rock it. You would rock it, Drew, definitely.
yes,
Come on,
Christine, you
guys. You
can ride
must
in my
want to
TARDIS.
ask us something. There must be something deep down inside you have always wanted to ask real witches. Dig deep and ask us.
Yep, we're here. We're here to answer.
Dig deep.
One of the three of us will know the answer.
Yep, and there's only
It
6 minutes left, so you better
and
get to typing.
I don't know about mystical love and light or not, but I haven't came across any spells as of yet that we use toads. Have you?
To use what?
Everybody thinks that witches use toads, and I have not came across a spell yet that we need to use a toad. Have you, girls?
Toads and bat wings and eyeballs and...
Yeah, I can't say I've ever came across one yet. Have you, ladies?
No.
No. Now, maybe if
There
we
you
were
go.
in Africa and used the poisonous toads, we could probably find one for it.
Maybe, yeah,
Yep.
definitely. But there's one question. We don't use toads, girls and boys. And I don't think I've got any warts on my nose. So there's another one.
And I have never met a real witch that has to perform everything over a boiling cauldron. Have you priced a cauldron lately?
Exactly.
Most witches can't afford
Guys,
one.
Our cauldrons are that size. We
I
don't get
keep my
mine. It's too
little
small.
one for my I keep my little one for my stuff like this.
Okay, Jan just asked, how do you use your cards? For instance, do you shuffle and whatever one falls is the one you use?
They are small. Very small.
Oh, see,
Drew,
that's
you
cute. I could sport that right here on my desk,
So
that
you can't
cauldron.
really stand over a hot boiling
yeah, you can
cauldron.
put your
It's
cigar
tiny.
ashes in it.
It's heavy.
I would never do that. I'd put my sage in it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said that's what I got mine. So I don't burn the house down.
Yeah, the big ones can be
Okay,
expensive, Chris. You can get bigger ones than that, like
yeah,
for maybe if you're doing something outside or something. I've seen other witches with bigger ones, but genuinely you only need that size.
Drew, do you want to answer his question when he was asking about the cards?
What was that? Sorry, I
yeah.
was getting my cauldron.
Yeah, Jan asked, how do you use your cards? For instance, do you shuffle and whatever one falls is the one you use?
What I do personally is I shuffle my cards, okay, and what I do is I ask my guides to connect to your guides. I find that with oracle cards it jumps out, but I find with the tarot cards you get a calling in your head when to stop, and then you dish out the cards. A lot of tarot readers will do it by your name, like maybe they'll stop, like they'll dish a card out like Andrina, Andrina, and then they'll stop. But me personally, when I'm doing tarot cards, I get the sign in my head for my guys to say stop. But a lot of people, a lot of times, sorry, when it's oracle cards, it does pop out. So, me personally, it does it that way. So it does.
Okay. I say
Did
I've had card readings, I've had regular tarot cards, and I've had oracle cards used. And usually the reader, you'll have, and I don't know why, but for some reason, you have the reader that's shuffling those cards, the oracle cards, and one card will always jump out of the deck at you.
Yes, that happens a lot with oracle cards. Tarot's a bit different to that anyway, because oracle cards are like one that you'll shuffle, then a card will come out and it'll be it's usually inspirational, the oracle cards, or it's a way to communicate with your guides. So yeah, I find that as well. It always pops out. It's crazy how it works, honestly.
I have jumpers as well with I do tarot and oracle, a bunch of different cards, and I find that you get jumpers with tarot with me as well.
Right?
So I find it depends what kind of a reading I'm doing, and it depends what kind of a layout I'm doing as well. But I do
Yeah.
find that both tarot and oracle can both jump. It depends on what it is I'm asking and the type of reading I'm doing.
Definitely. I made my
Hmm.
own spread up for quickness. I find that sometimes the Celtic cross is too long. See, if we're doing like readings for people online and things, the Celtic cross can sometimes run into over an hour. So I found a way of cutting it down, and now do a 5 card spread, which is your past, your present, your future, anything that may arise, and then overall outcome in your life. And I find that is the 5 general things that people want to know, and usually by doing it in a row, you can add on to each, like your past one, maybe people want to know deeper into it, or you need to go deeper into it. You just keep adding a card onto it until you know in your mind that you've answered that question. So yeah, I think that you can do tarot and things in loads of different ways, guys. There's not just the one way to do it, you know. But yeah, I find that that's quite useful. But the Celtic cross is a good one.
Cool. Cool. Well, guys, before we cut this off tonight, I wanted to make sure and let everybody know that the first Ghostorama for 2023 has been set. It is the first weekend of June this year in Eaton Rapids, Michigan, at the former City of David, the cult compound. that was set up over there. If you go back in my videos, you'll see our paranormal investigation from there last year. And that place is active. It is going to be a cool drama followed by an investigation, just like we did the first one last year. So if you live in the Michigan or Indiana area and you want to travel, or you want to travel, check out Ghostorama at Eaton Rapids, Michigan, at the City of David, the first weekend of June 2023. It's going to be good. Of course, there is a $75 vendor fee if you're going to be setting up to sell things. If you are an investigator, then there is no fee for investigators set up. So last year was a roaring success. JJ's Adventures came up and joined us for that down by Cincinnati, Ohio. They can tell you that was a pretty good setup for the first one. So, all right. Thank you, girls, for all joining us tonight. I know it's late over
It's a
across the
pleasure, Drew.
pond.
It's
You know,
always a
you're
pleasure
always
coming on
welcome
your show.
back. I
Thank you
love
for
having you
having
on here,
us.
sis.
Yeah,
It's
thank
my
you for
pleasure.
having us.
Anytime. Like I said, as the season progresses, as spring gets here and it gets a little warmer, I will start getting each individual group, Mystical and Lee, October, and Drew, Chris, and we'll get each individual group on here and talk about your investigations, your team, what got you interested in the paranormal, etc.
It'll be a
But
pleasure.
that's it for tonight, guys and gals. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. Special thank you to our beautiful guests, Drew, October, and Mystical. It's always a pleasure being pinned in between three women with nowhere to go.
You were kind
But
to
I don't got to
let you
tell you guys
guys.
that because, well, you know. So, girls, thank you so much. Everybody
Thank you.
else, take care. Don't forget video coming on Sunday at about 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then our normal live streams next week, Monday at 8 o'clock a.m. and again at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Friday 8 o'clock a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, I'm working on a special guest for next Friday night. And believe you me when I say this will probably be the most unique guest we've ever had.
Ooh, I can't wait, Drew. Teasing
And that's
us.
all I'm going to say.
Oh, he's a tease.
So, y'all take care. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you.
Blessings for
God love you.
Scotland,
We do.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
We'll
lots.
guys.
see y'all
Bye.
later.